Warm welcome to today's session, which is, I think, call number 7.
It is indeed. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are going to have this one and one more in the initial run, and then we're going to take a vote to see whether this is worth continuing or not, because this has all, of course, been an experiment, just as we should have.
Indeed. And this is the call where we give you an insight into the work we do around perfectionism, because with all such internal development practices, they are just that. It's a practice. And yeah, these tendrils of perfectionism are sneaky. And obviously also it gives you an insight to coaching too.
True. So yeah, we are going to have a 20-minute time chunk for the actual check-in, and afterwards we're going to open back up for any queries that you might have on perfectionism concepts, coaching techniques, questions that we asked, question that you expected but that we didn't ask for some reason, or whatever else might come up that would help you in your own personal development around perfectionism. And in order to help you do that, we have this little reflection sheet that you might have also seen in the reminder email, and a link to that will come in the chat now. Oh,
and today we're going to do two things slightly differently. So the first one is that Catalin is going to be a check-in partner, and the second thing is George had this idea. Yeah, well done, Catalin. Amazing. George had this idea that we would let Siri choose who would be coach.
Oh, okay, we're doing that. I didn't know that we had committed that. It was just an idea, but okay, yes. So if you did go on. Yeah, that was when we were still thinking that would be one of us. But Catalin, I think it would be only prudent to let you choose whom you would like to be coached by.
For real?
No offense will be taken regardless of which choice you make. This is completely your call, and we will not take it personally. Anyway, feel free to pick. Could
right.
One of us, could be both of us.
One of you is on my right, and one of you is on my left. So,
Aha.
Aha. So that's my thinking. And then, is it a left or right day today? Yeah, I go with Sam.
Thank you.
Excellent choice. Excellent choice. She's a wonderful coach.
So, Catalin, you might want to put your view on speaker view if it helps you to not be distracted by the other people. And would you like to take a minute just to kind of become really present?
Yeah, sure.
Maybe take a couple deep breaths if you like.
Is it audible that I do?
Your breath. Yeah. So how are you doing? What would you like to check in around perfectionism today?
Yeah, so I've been thinking on Monday that, oh, Sam and George would love this because, so I had an idea last week, work related, and then people liked it. And then at the moment they liked it, people started pushing work towards me. And then I ended up like, oh, I just didn't have any lunch break or breaks even. And then at the end of the day, I felt knackered. That was last week. So then on Sunday, I felt, do I really want to go to work today? Maybe not. And then because of all the weather changes, I had a terrible headache. So that stopped me. So I had to take break. So I had to lie down and sleep a bit during lunch break. And I just realized that, oh, I need to slow down, think about it, And then so today is a better day because I thought about what kind of strategy I can follow. And then I figured that, I don't want to do this alone. So let's just be kind to people and then they will help out. And then it turned out some other people are also alone with the things that they have. So I chipped in and I helped them, and then now they help me as well. So it's more like a team effort rather than it's all down on me or on someone else. And so now I'm gaining my energy back a bit, but on Monday I felt, no, what did I do? So yeah, this is the starting point.
And it's the starting point of, when you say it's the starting point of what?
A starting point of finding ways how I can do this better. Not just for myself, but for all the other people around me. So, because typically, I think it's really natural that you think of yourself first. That I need to do this, and I'm consciously using need to, and then you realize that no, but I'm part of a system, right? With other people, I have relationships here and there, so it's just not just there is a single point of delivering something in this instance, but there are multiple other things as well to just to have a whole thing. So even that is not successful. There's so many other things to concentrate on. So it's just like more like it's fine to take it a bit more easier, and then still giving some work into it.
And what helped you realize that you could take it a little bit easier and that you could collaborate?
Interestingly enough, that I talked to other people and then we shared experience and how we feel about things, and even work-related, non-work-related. So just having that little connection with people, that helped. That helped quite a lot. And then you do realize that, there's just so many other things. Like this is not really relevant. Like there's so many really big things in life, like health or things that really matters. And this one is there will be a solution, and even there it's no solution, then we will find something else to do. So it's not the end of the world. It's not a big issue at all. It's just at the moment that you feel that I'm responsible, but that's good. That's good. That just means that you're heading towards something. So
so what I'm hearing is that you noticed that you had a pattern of where you feel really responsible for something, and that you feel like you need to do it, you must do it, you have to do it. And then how by connecting with other people and talking about it, you found all these connections. And then you also found perspective that kind of put that thing in context with everything else and helped you find some space around it, helped to make it easier. Is that right?
That's a good summary. Yes. Yeah, that's what happened.
And so what other patterns do you notice that come up for you around perfectionism?
I think I have, I used to have a lot. I mean, a lot of them. Like, so what I would highlight here is the one where I thought that I should put other people's first and me as last, and that's what I did. Even so, it was even worse because I didn't realize that. So I realized that I just want to help people, and then I will take care of myself later. That can wait. I just can take care of that. That's not a problem. And then I reached a point where I just felt like not 100%, when you feel that, is this still my personality? and then I realized it, and then other people gave feedback as well. Many people, not just one, and that helped me to realize that I have something to deal with. And then what helped me get out of it, I don't think I managed to do that 100%. And this is, so maybe I don't want to. So I also I like supporting people. So I understand that this is my weakness, if that makes sense. But I'm conscious of it rather than I'm not conscious of it. So I think that was one of the patterns that I used to do, that I help people first, and then I took care of myself. And now what I'm conscious of, that I'm taking care of myself first, and then I support people. So it's and if I see that I'm not doing that, I remind myself that I need to do that. So like in this case, that was almost the same trap, that, oh, okay, right now I can support you, so that I'm giving my everything into it, and then no, I need to sleep, I need to eat, I need to drink. So no, and it's just that, like, your basic needs, it's there, and then if you just don't have that, you can't support them as productively as you can. So
I'm hearing that this is quite a powerful realization that you had, that you feel this need in you to help other people. But I'm hearing that you recognized like your basic requirements of like food and sleep and rest. And I'm curious, because definitely respecting those boundaries is really important. And I know that we might all still have a tendency to want to discount those things.
Yeah.
But actually, just looking after those basics, that's probably still not drawing the boundary line in a balanced place. So what helped you get, or what helps you stay in a more balanced place beyond just the basics?
So now I can say, so when we went, so when we had the lockdown, and then even before, my time was fluid. Maybe that doesn't make much sense. I had kind of a system, but I didn't have to kind of consciously cope with it, because I didn't spend too much time at home at all. And then suddenly I found myself that, oh, I need to spend some time here. So then how I can how I can ensure that I'm using my time as much as I want to do, rather than someone else or a system dictates me to do. It's like more like that. It's like, I don't know. It was my, I don't know, French Revolution, or like, oh no, okay, I have this system, but how I can make this work for myself? So I knew that if I don't take time or time box for exercise or a meditation or relaxation, or a focus on looking for a job, because I had to look for a job, and all these different activities, then I would just concentrate on getting my top one priority done, which probably would have been only work, and then I wouldn't concentrate on training or reading or catching up with family, friends. So I used a kind of board on my wall, and I was quite strict with it. So I had my own little review every day, and then I had my own kind of list of different things that I would like to achieve. So I had a kind of vision that, like in a month's time, that's what I would like to have. And they changed, but I put that in place, and then I did that like for a week, I knew that, okay, this is the regular things that I would do. These are the ad hoc things that I would do. And then I kept that going. And so I had like checking points with other people as well. And then, so it wasn't just that I owned it. We owned it kind of. And then it worked, and I got used to it. So I don't even need that kind of board, more like just in a high level plan for myself. But it's not like a plan that you imagine that, then every single thing's in your calendar is booked. It's not that. It's more like a kind of an exciting thing that you have some vision and goal for yourself. So yeah.
Oh, I love that. I'm really hearing how you thought about how you were spending your time, and that you actually made it kind of visual for yourself, and that you had this process of daily review and also maybe check in with other people. And let me ask you, because I think that's such a helpful habit to embed, but we all have the tendency for triggers, don't we? What happens when the demon bites you and you really feel the pressure?
Yeah.
Like you did this week.
Yeah.
You felt the pressure to do that thing.
Yeah.
What is it that helps you disengage and go and speak to other people? Disengage and remember how you use your time.
I'm quite fortunate right now, because I don't think I've it's, and it sounds surreal, but I'm surrounded by people who I really trust, respect, and like, and so they are mirrors of how I am as well. So the behavior that I have, they also mirror that back to me. So when I notice that that it's kind of a feedback from them to me, then I know that something changed, and I changed something, and then that. So even I try to push back, then like I see it happening because I'm talking to them, and then I can see that something is going on, and I changed. And even if I push back, I talk to someone else, and I'm getting the same kind of reflection, that I know that that there is something going on, and I'm just addressing it. And probably I'm openly sharing that's what I'm thinking, and I'm just asking for feedback. And if you do that, then people will tell you, yeah, you look a bit different. Now I'm thinking about it, what's going on. And someone is good at calling you out, but it's more like that you're giving that permission as well. So I think because of that supporting system that I have now, and I'm very fortunate to have that helps me. But also when I see that I'm knackered after a work day, and I don't feel that energy that, I can do something after work, rather than I just, no, that's a second signal.
Yeah. Okay. Because I'm hearing the power of that. Brené Brown talks about how shame can't exist when it's met with compassion. And it sounds like you really have that compassionate network. But still, you notice this thing of how drained you got last week. And with hindsight, when did those tendrils of exhaustion first start to appear in the week?
I think it, quite funnily, I think it started straight away. So when that was decided, it wasn't a decision, it's more like that once you had that conversation that, okay, we will do how you say, okay, fine, then I already felt that kind of pressure. There's already kind of a physical symptom of it, that you feel that, like a wave hits you, a wave hits your body, and then you just think, oh, okay. Okay, so from here, and then at that point, I think I try to ignore it. That okay, maybe just I'm just overreacting, and it's gonna be fine. But then it just, it's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And then sometimes if you're under that pressure, then you just don't want to say no.
Mhm.
You just okay, okay, I will cope with this. It's fine.
And when that wave hits you, what kind of wave is that wave?
Well, depending on so it's a mixture. It's not a negative wave, so I don't picture it as negatively. It's exciting as well. So because so I believe there is so stress these days. People think that it's just negative, but no, it's positive. That's what inspires you as well. Because then, if everything is really comfortable, and then there's nothing that would drive you out of that, and there is positive stress as well. So that at that point, you might not know. So it was a mixture, to be honest. It was positive as well, and I think that blinded me first, if I think about it. Um, yeah, I think that's my thinking about it.
And from the cascade that happened after the wave, that led into you being, oh, I just have to get through this.
Mm.
What would you prefer to have happen?
I would have preferred that I can be a bit more neutral about my situation. I was too emotionally included. I mean, probably I just felt that, oh, okay, now I can show what I have. I'm just kidding, but it was like a similar feeling. Like it's okay, it's not too bad. So let's just do it. So I think that was my feeling, rather than just taking a step back and then, okay, do I have all the things that I need, and then how I'm going to make that work. And then so just not. I think I took myself too seriously. Yeah. So and then I wish I wouldn't have done that.
Yeah, that's often where we put the pressure on ourselves, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what will you do next time when you notice that feeling of seriousness?
I think I would just take a break straight after, and then maybe an hour break, or it shouldn't be a long break, but rather than just jump on it straight away, maybe I just also ask for time. So let me think about it a bit more, and then afterwards I would see who can help as well. And then there is what we are doing now. But then it just wouldn't have felt such a big pressure. Then you just lie down and, oh, I don't want to live anymore.
Yeah. You recognize how you can include other people and give yourself a little bit more space next time.
That's right. Yeah.
And is there anything else?
That's a good question, because so the reason why I mentioned this today to you all is because I noticed that it's such a continuous work on yourself, and I was surprised that I could fall back into the same habits so easily. So not like I didn't have to have months and months of doing that, so that I was in a state that I used to be so easily. It was surprising that, all right, I just did this one tiny thing, and then it kind of ruined all the things that I worked so hard for. So it was a surprise. So I think there is still something lurking in myself that probably I didn't even think about. So that was my thinking, but I have nothing else but this. That okay, so this is not something that you can finish off on day one, and then on day two, it's gonna be all good. It's more like that every single day. It's a new day, so it's a new day, a new start, a new thing. So whatever I did yesterday maybe doesn't count today. So it's more like that. I'm thinking about the ways to help myself with that.
Curious if you noticed that, because I notice in the work that I do how, yes, I still have certain tendencies, but where I would have fallen down a hole and it would have taken me a long time to even realize that I was even in a hole. And it would have taken me the longest time. You know, it would have seemed impossible to climb out.
Yeah.
You know, whereas now I can spot the hole. I might trip up even and fall in the hole, but I know immediately, I know as I'm falling in it that I'm falling in the hole.
Yeah.
And I know where the steps are and the rope is. And so I come back out again much more quickly.
Yeah.
Did you notice anything like this?
I think so. I think you build that kind of muscle that you talked about, that the more you take some time to be aware of what you do, then when you realize it takes less time to get out of it. So that's absolutely true. So even though I got into that position quite quickly, I hopefully I got out of it quicker as well. So yes, yeah, I can see your point totally, and that is fitting.
And so is there anything from that seems like it might be helpful for you next time?
I mean, it's hard to promise anything. I mean, I know that it's not about promises, but yes, I think it will be in the back of my mind just because we talked it through, and to be fair, these calls also helps me because I see it in my calendar. I block my time. Thankfully, we have this as a quiet hour, so I can push meetings out because of that, and that's a good check-in. It's a good weekly check-in for myself to remind me that, how do you do? and then and that helps me to realize that, okay, so these things I can just take it a bit easier. These things I can push out. These things I can ask for help. And I think that's how I will build that in, that I know that I have that kind of tendency. So then let's catch it earlier than later. And then it's fine if I go down the hole. So it's not always that every day you're very, very happy and, full of energy. Maybe happy is not a good word. And I read somewhere that we use that word quite a lot. And it's true. It's more like then whether you're satisfied at the end of the day. Maybe that's a better way of putting it. And it's fine that not every day you're satisfied. So like you're not a robot. So that's fine.
And there's one last question I wanted to ask you, which was, so I hear like the focus that you put on improving, but what practice do you have around recording your wins along the way, recording what you're good at, recording the successes?
Yeah, so that is something that I don't do that often, which I think makes some of the people I I love mad. They are mad about that I don't do that. I don't do that. So normally what I do, just to explain, normally what I do, that I achieve something and I move on. And I don't care because probably that comes from my personality, that I don't care about past things. And then when something achieved, I just move on, because I'm interested in the future, and that's how I operate. So,
and if I was to tell you,
yeah,
that personality is an accumulation of habits,
that's true.
and that one of the aspects of perfectionism is, as George highlighted last week, is skating over our successes.
Mm.
And if we know that perfectionism is fundamentally built on shame that we're not enough, does it seem like a good choice to choose not to acknowledge success?
No, absolutely terrible.
So what might you want to do about that then?
So now, even if it's artificial, I try to celebrate, and I use try because it feels artificial. But I think I'm much better than I used to be. So I used to ignore it completely. So I didn't even have that kind of awareness. And other people said, "Oh, but you didn't celebrate that. You didn't celebrate that as well." And I was like, yeah, and I didn't care. So I was like, okay, fine, yeah, sure, we're gonna celebrate that. So now now I know that, right? I matured, and I understood that it's not a good practice at all. So now I'm making that time for people. I'm sharing things when I feel that it's kind of a success, or and I do that consciously. And then so I get feedback from other people, which helps. And then because they celebrate with me, right?
What about your own internal intrinsic reward?
Intrinsic reward. Oh yeah, that's a fascinating area. Motivation and intrinsic and extrinsic motivation and all that drive.
The point of mentioning it, and I'm conscious of time, we want to give time for feedback, but just to wrap this up, because this is about perfectionism, I'm not talking about intrinsic and extrinsic motivation just from the theory of it.
Yeah.
It's that our ability to keep going and not give up is biochemically based on our internal ability to recognize progress and our little micro successes. And so just to recognize the importance of that, I invite you to explore that area, because this is where, again, you can help yourself not become so exhausted, because you allow yourself to recognize, and it can't be from an external source, it can only be from an internal source, you recognizing your achievement.
Right. Okay, that's a nice takeaway. I'm going to explore that.
You're welcome. Thank you for being so brave to check in today.
And no worries. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. You were awesome. So opening up the floor really for anyone to ask any questions or to give any feedback.
Well, firstly, why don't we all celebrate Kathleen's bravery by using the newly added celebration emoticon, if you will, or a clap or whatever. Thank you very much, Kathleen. Good work.
No worries at all.
Yes, so happy to take any questions about specific coaching techniques, perfectionism patterns, anything of that sort. If you prefer anonymous questioning, why not? There is the slide link in the chat.
Yeah, and as Catalin mentioned, this is a really safe space. So you can share anything at all. You can ask anything that you like. If you don't have questions specifically, but you want to ask something about your experience of perfectionism, that's also really cool.
Yeah, I have a question. What was your thinking process during coaching? I mean, maybe that helps other people, like with the coaching techniques used.
Yeah. I guess what I try and do is just literally empty my mind of thinking about what question to ask. I notice that still what might come up from time to time is like, well, I've got to come up with a really good question. But I really try and squash that voice or just disengage from that voice. And I'm looking at you and I'm picking up what emotionally seems to be resonant in you, what might seem important to you. Yeah. And it's interesting because like because I've not spoken with you very much before, what I should have done is trust my intuition, but I didn't want to fall into the trap of asking you the first thing you said. But when you were telling your story, something that was really emotionally resonant was when you said, oh, and they picked my idea. So I think if I was to do this again, I would have let you continue to talk exactly like you did, but I would have asked you that question first. Right. So I'm curious that would have probably got us into your depths more quickly. What do you guys think? What did you see?
I think a lot of what Caitlin shared is very recognizable. So, like, you can relate to a lot of things that you discussed, you guys.
One question
also concerning the way of thinking from the coach. I think it's much more being an active listener full time rather than thinking ahead of things, because if I have experienced that in early days, when I try to think too much on how help that person, I lose so many details that when I stop with this kind of thinking before and pay full attention, as Sam did to you, paying total attention to your story and just asking for more, and here or there making some questions or trying to enlighten something is way better. I loved, by the way, the question that Sam did with concerning the triggers and comparing the triggers with demons, because sometimes it's just this relation. And the point that you, Kathleen, dig deep down into yourself and search it for the times that you are more associated with the situations and you want to be more dissociated. You call this the being more neutral. You feel yourself more emotional related with the situation and would like to be more neutral. And sometimes I think this is a quest for all of us, so I relate to that too. So George, you would make a comment.
Thank you. Yes, one of the questions that stood out to me was the one, which kind of wave when it hit on Monday, and you might have spotted it also, that technique from clean coaching, and was just beautifully used in that regard. kind of or what kind of.
Mm. Yeah, and I loved what you said in response to that, actually, this recognition of, you know, stress isn't always negative, like we seem to think of it as negative. I've also had this kind of insight, which I'll just share really briefly, around stress and anxiety, around this. How many people ever feel like they wake up with anxiety? No one?
I do on occasion.
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes.
Well, I realised that for us to wake up, for us to get out of bed, we have biologically a little surge of cortisol, and cortisol is the stress hormone, right? And so that little, you know, the heart beating a little bit faster, the kind of, you know, the springboard that gets us out of bed, I think we've attached anxiety into that. And so that little wake up moment of the kind of the rush of energy into our body, it's interesting if we can kind of like detach the label, don't attach anxiety so quickly to that, and then you realize in actual fact it's just what's required to get you out of bed.
Yes and no. So on the bad days, when there is real anxiety, then it's very different that that surge from, for example, on a regular day or even on a good day, when we wake up and because we hear Sammy starting to wake up in the next room, and that is then there's also a flush of energy that comes, but it's a very positive energy. And yes, the hormone associated might be related, might include cortisol, but there's also a lot of dopamine in there, and it's very positive because he just starts chatting to himself as if he is to himself the greatest audience there, and it's so funny, and we just can't wait to get out of bed and pick him up and maybe bring him back for a cuddle, for example, compared to a day when the true anxiety comes and my brain chemistry is off, for example, and it just I wake up with a wrongly functioning brain, and that's a very different experience. Where no doubt also then the cortisol level is much higher, because that's so it's not necessarily a disagreement, it's just yes, and the level of cortisol is associated with whether it's anxiety or excitement.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I was lazy the way I explained it, in that there can be an element of that waking up with anxiety, which is just the kind of the mislabeling and the kind of the habitual thing, but I'm sure it's not that all the time. Yeah.
12:48. It's time to transition and open up the call after party for everyone who would like to stick around and chat without recording or live stream. Before we do this transition, as always, we're very curious about your feedback. Once again, many thanks to you, Kathleen, for volunteering and sharing a bit about your perfectionism practice. And thank you all very much for joining, most of you again, which is just wonderful. Thank you so much. And let us know what you're thinking. This is the penultimate episode of our initial experiment. Sam, any finishing words before we switch off?
No, just another thank you to Kathleen, thank you to the group, and call 7, that's a wrap.
That's a wrap indeed. We're going to switch off the recording now. Thank you very much to everyone on the live stream. Thanks for watching.